How you doing? My name is State Representative Anthony Nolan. I am here at the DVA in Rocky Hill, Connecticut with Commissioner Welch. Sir, thank you so much for taking time to share a little bit about the DVA. Got a lot of questions from constituents and some veterans out there, and I'm just happy that you could sit for a minute and with your busy schedule, because you're all over the place. I thought I was all over the place. You're all over the place. And so first, please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about the DVA.
So thank you, Anthony, for the time to share with you today to talk about some of the programs and services we have at Department of Veterans Affairs. So I actually was born in New London. I think you're very familiar with that, Lawrence Memorial Hospital, Anthony. Right out of high school, I went to East Lyme High School, participated in a lot of athletic programs there, football, wrestling, and crew. And then I enlisted into the Army, and I was on a path to be an Army Airborne Ranger. I got through all the gates to get there and get through the processes, and ended up serving out west, 2nd and 75th Rangers at Fort Lewis, Washington. Unfortunately, around 1981, I was involved in a really serious in-line-of-duty parachute accident, which eventually caused me to leave the Army in 1982 when my time was up. I came back to Connecticut and went through a lot of physical rehabilitation, had some very good medical care. I worked with the federal VA to get back, and I went to officer candidate school. Got commissioned, and I was able to serve for just under 40 years, primarily full-time in the Connecticut Army National Guard.
Let me just rewind for a minute. You said 40 years?
Yes, 40.
40.
39 years, 3 months, and 27 days.
Thank you so much for all that service.
And, both in peace and war. And I started out as a private, and I retired as a general officer. And it was all about being surrounded by very good people that push and pull you along throughout your military career.
Wow. And recently, the governor appointed you to run the DVA. So it's not like you don't have experience to do that, and that you have not been through the treatments that are offered and the benefits that are offered. Because as you stated, you have numerous years of things that you went through. So that's why I think the governor made a great choice when he chose you for appointment, because you really know how to get through the benefits.
I appreciate that.
So, and just to start, the DVA provides a different realm of services, from healthcare to mental health. Could you talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. I just want to add one thing that really helped me be able to serve in this position. Another thing was to be able to work for Easter Seals Capital Region, Eastern Connecticut, and work with them to develop a program called Veterans Rally Point, which is a one-stop shop. Anthony has visited a couple times up in Norwich, actually several times, and I was able to work up there and help them do the build-out. That program provides a lot for our area veterans, and about 18,000 have visited that location since Veterans Day. We did a ribbon cutting in 2021, so about 18,000 have visited.
And what's the address up there?
It's on Stott Avenue, just down from Dodge Stadium. And it's they have yoga, meditation, employment services, behavioral health, a big open space for community-type activities, a maker space with woodworking, pottery, sewing. They also have a fitness center with a climbing wall. They have a large kitchen, a food pantry, and clothing. The
list of stuff that they do is just amazing. And I've seen that they also have a little video podcast type area now also to do training in and to teach people.
Yes, we thought that was really important to have the digital media side of things.
Yeah, and the gym is not a small gym. It is a national type gym. You have the best of the best equipment there.
We really do. At the time, we were extremely fortunate to get a grant from Office of Personnel Management and Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services of $2.5 million to take the existing Easter Seals building, which is 60,000 square feet, and build out about 18,000 of it. So some of the office space up front was already there, so that got an extreme makeover. And in the back, we had a large warehouse, and that was all new construction in the warehouse.
Yeah, it's amazing, the site. So if you haven't gotten up to Norwich to check that out, you really should. It has a wide variety of great things for veterans. Mental health services. How do we help with mental health here?
On the behavioral health side, within our residential program, there are some therapists that are assigned to the program, and it's very important when somebody comes in that a good assessment is done. Everyone receives a physical, complete physical, and a behavioral health screening, and then a program is designed based on their needs. That's for the residential program. Over on the other side, in the skilled care facility, there's actually a psychiatrist and psychologist assigned from the federal VA that spend time. They have hours over there and see our veteran population that are over in the skilled care facility.
So you talked about residential, you talked about skilled care, and then there's something across the street that you have also,
Yes.
right?
So on the residential side, just a little brief history. Back in during the Civil War in 1864, there was a merchant out in Darien, Connecticut, that had a lot of resources financially, and he knew that veterans coming back from the Civil War, obviously several were killed, children were going to be orphaned potentially, and there were going to be a lot of issues. They didn't probably call it behavioral health back then. So he established a home. At that time, it was a home and hospital. And in 1935, the General Assembly said, we need to move that facility to a central part of Connecticut. So between 1935 and 40, they built this facility, which later became the Connecticut Department of Veterans Affairs, on 96 acres. So the 4 programs that we have: residential, where veterans can reside and go through rehabilitative services. Across the street, as you said, Anthony, is a place called Patriot Landing. That's primarily for families. There's 5 houses that are 3 bedrooms. And up in our dorm environment, we have space for between about 150 and 170. 2-person rooms. It's a safe and secure environment. There's a dining facility with, you can get a fantastic meal up there 3 times a day, along with all those other programs and services.
And if someone homeless, how do you help with the homeless? Because I know there's been a lot of calls for that lately, and there is an avenue for veterans that are homeless.
Absolutely. The first thing that any person that finds or comes in contact with a homeless person, the first thing they should do is contact 211, and that is, the statewide service that is provided by United Way from oversight from other state agencies. And that puts them into a database, and it allows them to have visibility on what is available in Connecticut. And there are several shelters, as you know. So 211 gets them registered, or they can come over here and we'll sit down and we'll help them start that process, that intake process to become a resident here.
So here you can get assistance for supportive housing, affordable housing, homelessness for veterans. It is a great way to get the help that is needed if someone needs a home that's a veteran. So I really ask that you reach out to 211 and find out more about it and get the connections that you can. Also, employment assistance.
Absolutely.
There's a really good employment assistance. Can you share about that?
We work very closely with our partner, state agency, Department of Labor, and throughout Connecticut, there are American Job Centers that are spread all over. There's 4 or 5 American Job Centers. When somebody is coming in to have an assessment done, if they're going to be a resident here, for example, that's one of the things we try to identify. Are they interested in becoming employed? And then we start to look around for some options for them. We recently have done a lot more with Department of Labor, and we'll have some grant money that is going to be sent to us to try to expand our veteran outreach, employment outreach, to try to find those veterans that are out there that are unemployed and connect them with a subject matter expert that can really help them get the resume done, job coaching, and get them employed.
Yeah, and it's always a challenge for a veteran or someone coming out of the military to get involved in the employment job-seeking system, because they've either been in for so long and it's hard to determine which areas can carry over and which areas can't carry over. So it's a great place to reach out for that. And in regards to educational assistance, legal services, financial assistance, those are some things that you also do.
So the other thing that I think is really important to emphasize is we have a state statute in place that says every municipality, all 169 towns and cities in Connecticut, are supposed to have a veteran representative. And ideally, that veteran representative becomes really smart on what is available locally and how to get in touch with our 5 district offices that have veteran service officers in them that can get real technical on assisting in applying for GI Bill benefits and other educational opportunities that are out there. Our staff that are here can assist if somebody is a resident here or they just have a general question about education. The other thing that is important is most of the universities in Connecticut have a center called the Oasis Center. And the Oasis Center is for veterans. That's the whole intended purpose. As Representative Nolan said, it's a big transition. Whether you're talking about trying to figure out a roadmap for education or employment, it can be very confusing as you're transitioning out of the military and really intimidating if you haven't been in the civilian workforce or if you haven't been on a college campus. So those Oasis centers are very beneficial at the different schools.
I'm going to rewind a minute, and if you can touch a little bit on long-term care and explain the dynamics of
Sure. So
long-term
we
care.
are really lucky here. In 2008, we had the Sergeant John Levito healthcare facility constructed. It's a beautiful facility. It's 125 beds. It's highly rated. We are inspected by the federal VA and Department of Public Health unannounced. They come in and they do very detailed inspection and make sure we're in compliance. Medicare and Medicaid provide some oversight also. We typically have space available. Our census is somewhere between about approximately 85, a little bit more than 85 veteran patients there at any given time.
Yeah.
There is a process. The best thing to do is get in touch with us. And we do have a website, which we are in the process of updating. But on the website, it talks about the application process. The care, again, is exceptional. We also have a dementia clinic there.
Dementia clinic?
For memory care,
Okay.
Palliative care, which is end-of-life care.
Yeah.
Music memory, there's occupational therapists over there, physical therapists. We have attending physicians assigned there. Every patient has a specific physician assigned to them.
Right.
They are from University of Connecticut. We have a couple on staff. Very nice facility.
And long-term care is something that is always needed, especially with our veterans. And there's such a wide variety of benefits and things that will help our veterans that are out there. And we implore you to make contact with the DVA so that you can learn the things that are available, because there's an extensive list of benefits. It's just way too much for us to name all of them here today, but it's important that you reach out and find out about them. And the commissioner talked about the VSO. Can you just let people know a little bit more about the VSO's position?
Sure.
We did do a few extra VSOs this
Yes.
year, which was a great thing. But if you could just give a brief synopsis of what a
Absolutely.
VSO is.
Yes, with Anthony's assistance and some of his colleagues, they were able to get a Senate bill passed to provide a couple additional veteran service officers. So I'm going to talk about locations first. We have veteran service officers located in Norwich, Newington, Waterbury, Milford, and Fairfield. And if you go to our website, again, you'll see the specific locations and the contact information to get in touch with them. They are really critical. We have the municipal vet rep supposed to be in every municipality that we talked about, that can also make that connection for you. A veteran service officer is somebody that, number one, has to be a veteran, so they have to have served in any one of the armed forces honorably. A pretty competitive application process to become one. Once hired, they have to get certified. A certification process is a pretty lengthy process with a very comprehensive exam at the end of it. So by the time somebody becomes certified as a veteran service officer, they know how to interview a veteran, how to require documentation to start a potential pension and compensation type claim if they have a service-connected injury or illness, along with an assortment of other benefits that they may be eligible for. So we can't emphasize enough the importance of anybody that has served. And if you think you recall being injured or ill, please get in touch with one of those veteran service officers. They are currently providing services. There's 172,000 veterans in Connecticut, plus family members. The National Guard, in addition, has about 5,000 members, along with all the other services have reserve components. The Army Reserves, Marine Corps Reserves, Air Force Reserves, Coast Guard Reserves that, might need something. So making that connection is really important to become aware of what's available. Our veteran service officers are currently working with 8,000 clients. 8,000 clients has resulted in $125 million of federal funding that has come to Connecticut to those families and service members.
It's a great amount of money.
It really is.
And some of the unfortunate things is some of the monies from both the federal government and the state are not enough. So those are things that legislators have to work on to make sure that we provide you enough. And the DVA, there's transportation assistance that a lot of people don't always know about to get to and from like appointments and
Yes.
and to get down to get checked out.
We have some shuttle services available here. We have a large bus that not only shuttles vets to employment if they are employed and reside here. We can provide that service, but also medical appointments at various locations, primarily the Newington VA and West Haven VA. If we're not shuttling them, then we make sure that we line up the transportation for them.
Yeah. And also there's transportation outside of the DVA that there are some small organizations that put through. So it's a matter of calling 211 also for that kind of stuff. There is a lot of supportive services. I don't want to leave out the families because there is a lot of supportive services for families also. Am I correct?
Absolutely. Some underestimate the toll that military service and deployments take on the family. It has a huge impact. So there are things like caregiver programs, making sure that the veteran understands if they transferred their GI Bill benefits, education benefits, if they were able to do that, depending on when they came in the military service, making sure that that veteran service officer can help them understand how to do that properly. Behavioral health wise, we are working with, some of the other partner agencies. I know that the National Guard, for example, has a very robust family support program with behavioral health resources embedded in it. We do a lot with the Connecticut Military Department also, and other partner agencies. And that's what I really want to stress, whether it's employment or homelessness or transportation, whatever the issue the veteran may be having, there is typically a solution for it. And a lot of times it's either misinformation or lack of information. And as Anthony said, 211 is a great resource. The last time I looked, there were, 25 or 30 pages of veteran-related resources there.
Right.
Our efforts now moving forward are going to be, updating that website, having an effective mobile app to try to make it a little bit user-friendly to our veteran population that can leverage technology to figure out what's out there and not just kind of silo everything, but get all these other agencies in collaboration to share what resources they have available. Bottom line, to take care of our families better and our veterans.
Yeah. And lastly, burials. We do a lot helping families and our veterans when it comes time for burial, cemetery assistance. Could you touch on that?
Sure. We are really fortunate in Connecticut to have what I consider one of the most beautiful cemeteries that I've seen. It is like a mini Arlington, and it's on 317 Bow Lane in Middletown. It's called the State of Connecticut Veterans Cemetery. We have been doing approximately 600 to 700 burials a year there. Right now, there are approximately 16,000 veteran and family members buried there. We also have niches and a columbarium for those that choose to be cremated. We're in the process, and the Governor Lamont just chaired a session with the bonding commission in December, and we were granted $3 million, fortunately, to doing a cemetery expansion because we definitely are running out of space there. To be eligible to be buried in the State Veteran Cemetery, the veteran has to have a characterized discharge of honorable or general under honorable conditions.
It is a beautiful cemetery, and a lot of people have a tough time trying to understand how they can get their loved ones at a restful place. So
Sure.
If that is something that comes up with any family member of a veteran, please contact the DVA because that is something that they pretty much specialize in. And before we close out, Commissioner, is there anything that you want to touch on that we didn't talk about?
A couple of things, but I'd also like to add right across the street, we have Colonel Gates Cemetery. And the intent there is if a resident passes away that is living here or in the healthcare facility, we'll do an interment over there if they choose to. So there's about 1,600 veterans buried over there. But what I'd like to close with, I just want to, thank again Representative Nolan for his time, for his dedication and doing all the great things he does to support our veterans and families. Again, 172,000 veterans in Connecticut. That's a lot, plus the families. It takes a lot of effort to pull all the resources together and get the word out there. Our organization continues to improve. We still have a ways to go. And all the areas you touched on, expanding behavioral health, expanding our employment opportunities, working on the transportation part of it. So we're constantly listening as we go out into the community to find out what the issues are.
Well, Commissioner, I really appreciate you taking the time because I know your schedule's busy. And just for the folk that are out there watching, if you know a veteran, please help them by telling them about the Department of Veterans Affairs and showing them a way to get the assistance that's needed. Our veterans give their life. They put their name on that dotted line and they go to places that sometimes they don't expect to go. And some come back hurt, and some come back not the same way as they went. So veterans should be paid more attention to, and we're going to do as much as we can to provide all the benefits and support services that we can. So thank you for watching Rollin with Rep. Nolan. Have a nice day.